Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Funhouse on the Fantasy Football Advice Network, powered by the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Once again, I am here with my dad, and we are already on episode 6. I cannot believe it. I want to make this intro short and sweet, so hit the intro, Grindberg.
Let's go.
That video is just so good. I can't say it enough. That intro just hits bang on.
Let's go. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the segment we call the
Fundamentals of Fantasy Football.
Okay, so each week we break down a piece of this awesome hobby in a way that's easy for beginners and, kids to understand. So this week we're diving into a crucial part of the fantasy football universe, the waiver wire, and we're going to explain it with the power of superheroes and villains. Whether you're just a rookie or you're looking to level up, this guide will help you understand the waiver wire and how it can help you build a championship caliber team, just like assembling your own superhero squad. Now, Mason, let's get into it.
What is waiver wire? It's your hero HQ. Imagine you're the leader of a superhero team. You can't just grab any hero at any time. The waiver wire is like a secret HQ where players not on a team go and wait for their chance to be picked up. Each week after NFL games, you could choose these free agents and add them to your team. It's where new heroes or villains are ready to join your squad.
So, how does the waiver wire work, you ask? So, it's like the battle for superpowers. Okay, so the waiver wire works on priority, a lot of them. So, just like a battle to join the Avengers or the Justice League, if you're one of the first teams to have a chance at claiming a player, you get the power pick to choose them first. So each team has a waiver priority, which is kind of like the order in which heroes can line up to join your squad. If you have a high priority, you get to claim the player before other teams. Think of it like being Iron Man. If you're at the top, you get to pick your favorite hero or villain, before anyone else does. But just like any superhero story, if you use your powers just, too often, you'll be left vulnerable. After you claim a player, your priority goes all the way down to the bottom. Just like Thor getting pushed to the back of the line after he grabs his hammer.
To be fair, he doesn't use Mjolnir anymore.
Okay, well, once you make your move, someone else gets their shot.
What is waiver priority? The hero ranking system. Waiver priority is like the rankings of superheroes. The team with the highest priority gets to pick the player they want from the waiver wire, like the leader of the Justice League choosing first. Once they make a pick, their priority drops all the way down to the bottom, and the next team gets a turn. In some leagues, priority resets based on how teams did last week. Teams that are behind get a chance to catch up, just like the Flash speeding ahead.
I like that one. That's a good analogy, Mace. Now, the two waiver wire systems. So heroes battle for players. So there are two ways the waiver wire works, each with its own strategy, like the Avengers and the X-Men. So priority ranking waivers. So this is the simple method that we just explained. The team with the highest priority picks first and then moves to the bottom. It's like Superman leading a mission, then passing the baton to Wonder Woman.
Now, the next one is my favorite. It's FAAB, which
is
free agent acquisition budget. FAAB is like having a superpower budget. Each team gets money, usually around $100, to bid on players. The team that bids the most gets the player, but you need to spend wisely, like Dr. Doom using his resources to carefully win. Using his resources carefully to win.
So, what is waiver wire so important? It's like building your super team. In fantasy football, your team always is changing. Injuries, bye weeks, these are surprises that shake things up. The waiver wire is like your recruitment center where you can find new heroes to make your team stronger. If one of your players gets hurt, you can grab their backup, like Batman recruiting a new hero to help.
Sometimes you might find a rookie hero, like young Spider-Man, who's performing great. These new players could just be what you want to crush your opponents and take your team to the top.
But keep your eye on the injuries and bye weeks, spotting weaknesses in your enemies. Just like Thanos spotting weaknesses in the Avengers' defenses, you need to keep an eye on injuries and bye weeks. When a player gets hurt on a bye week or is on a bye week, that's the chance to add a replacement from the waiver wire. Whether it's a backup player getting more playing time or a new hero rising to an occasion, kind of like how rookies do latter half of the season. If you see an injured Green Lantern or Iron Man, it's time to swoop in like Black Panther and claim their backup.
Now it's streaming players. 1 week wonders. Sometimes you don't need a player for the entire season, just like Hawkeye stepping into help for one singular mission. Streaming players is like grabbing a hero or villain for just 1 week based on the situation at hand. Let's say a backup quarterback is going up against a weak defense. You could stream that player to help you out for the week. Then, once the mission is over, you could drop them and just move on. It's a great way to get extra points without committing to someone long term.
I do that a lot, Mason, in my leagues. It's just a savvy move, but be smart about your waiver claims. Don't go full Joker mode, if you know what I mean. It's easy to get excited about claiming a player, but it's just like the Joker. Sometimes impulsive decisions can hurt you. Don't grab players just because they had one good game. Think strategically, just like Professor X planning his next move. You need to look at your team needs and make calculated decisions. Don't waste your valuable waiver claims or dollars on players who won't help you in the long run.
Why is the waiver wire important? Building your super team. In fantasy football, your team can change a lot. Injuries, bye weeks, and surprises do happen. That's just a part of fantasy football. The waiver wire is like your recruitment center where you find new heroes or, again, villains to strengthen your team. If one of your players gets hurt, you can grab their backup like Batman recruiting a new hero. Sometimes you'll find a rookie hero like young Spider-Man who's doing great. These players can be just what you need to win.
Yeah, you know where else is a great place where people win and find winning strategies? Well, I'll tell you where, Mason. It's the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, and here's where you'll find it.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
That's where we'll go. And where else we're going to go? We're going to go to our super
Howard game of the week.
And this features an exciting showdown in a week that doesn't have a whole lot of excitement. 6 bye weeks, a lot of injuries. So this showdown between the Baltimore Ravens and the Los Angeles Chargers is going to be epic. The Ravens, led by quarterback Lamar Jackson and newly acquired running back, Derrick Henry, offered just the best well-rounded offensive attack one could ask for. Jackson's ability to make an impact in the game through the air and especially on the ground makes him a fantasy superhero. That is the impact he makes. And playmakers like Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers in the passing game, he remains ultra potent. Henry's addition to the backfield adds another layer of power to the running game, giving the Ravens an explosive duo capable of dominating both in the trenches and in the open field.
On the other side, the Chargers offense continues to be driven by quarterback Justin Herbert, one of the best top fantasy passers in the league. Sorry, I muffed that one up. Herbert has formed a solid connection with rookie wideout Ladd McConkey, who has quickly become a reliable target in the passing game. While the Chargers receiving corps has undergone chances, McConkey's ability to make big plays has helped to fill the void left by previous departures. Herbert's deep ball accuracy and ability to rack up passing yards make him a top fantasy option, while McConkey's rise as a contributor adds a nice boost to their offensive potential.
Yeah, this matchup for them is a great one. I think this matchup is good for both sides of the ball, and with explosive talent, you're going to see this game poised to be high scoring, and not to mention that the brothers are going head to head. The Harbaugh brothers, the coaching duo, they're going to be going head to head since the first time since their Super Bowl head-to-head appearance. So Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry on one side, Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey on the other provide plenty of playmaking potential. Whether you're starting Jackson, Henry, Herbert, or McConkey, the Ravens-Chargers game promises to deliver the fireworks and the ultimate matchup to watch in Week 12. Now, Mason, let's get into one of your favorite segments. And what is it, buddy?
Heroes and villains of the week. My hero of the week, it might be a little bit biased because I like the Chiefs, but I think I've got some pretty good backup to this. Kareem Hunt is my hero of the week for fantasy football due to his favorable matchup against the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are by far the worst team in the league against the run, allowing over 140 rushing yards per game. This makes Hunt an ideal candidate to dominate on the ground, as he can exploit their weak defense. Fantasy managers should expect to have him at a high number of opportunities to make a significant impact.
Yeah, I like that call, Mason, quite a bit. You know, Isaiah Pacheco is maybe supposed to come back this week, but he has been officially ruled out. And Hunt has always just been that versatile weapon, capable of contributing in both as a rusher and as a receiver. With the Panthers struggling to defend the run, Hunt is likely to see plenty of touches, like you mentioned, especially in short yardage and red zone situations. His ability to catch passes out of the backfield only adds to his value in PPR formats. Hunt's dual threat ability makes him a strong play this week with the chance to rack up both rushing and receiving yards. I like it.
Given the Panthers' defensive struggles, Hunt's role in the offense will be crucial. He should have a high volume of carries and can easily find the end zone multiple times. Even though he's had only 3 red zone touches or runs, he hasn't capitalized on a touchdown this year. So hopefully he can exploit Carolina's weak defense. So fantasy owners must start Kareem Hunt.
Like it. I like it. Now, my hero of the week is a standout player getting some run now lately for the Chicago Bears and headed into Week 12. He's my superhero start of the week. Much like Spider-Man's transformation from a shy, unsure teen to a powerhouse hero, Odunze has gradually found his stride and is now becoming a go-to target in the Bears offense.
His recent performances show he's ready to make big plays when it counts. And this week against the Minnesota Vikings, He's poised to take his game to the next level.
In the last 3 games, Odunze has had 14 receptions, 192 yards, and 19 fantasy points per game. He's seen at least 6 targets in 5 of the last 6 games, showing he's a consistent contributor in the Bears offense. In week 3, Odunze, he posted his season high 17 fantasy points, went for 112 yards and a touchdown against the Colts. The Vikings defense has allowed over 100 receiving yards to 6 different players this season. And the Minnesota Vikings, they've given up a touchdown pass to 13 different players, suggesting Rome Odunze has a good chance to find the pay dirt this week.
Much like Spider-Man discovering his full potential and rising to the occasion, Odunze is stepping up and to be a reliable playmaker for the Bears. And with the Vikings defense struggling,
he is the perfect superhero to deliver in your fantasy lineup. If you need a player to swing and save your week, Odunze could be the hero you've been waiting for.
Okay, now it's for our villains. Mine is DeAndre Swift. For Fantasy Football Week 12, DeAndre Swift is my villain of the week. Due to his recent inconsistency and the tough matchup he faces, while he had a solid performance last week with 14 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown, it's been clear that he's a boom or bust player lately. His recent flashes of promise have been overshadowed by a lack of consistent production, which makes him a risky option heading into this crucial week.
Yeah, you know what? And he's playing, you pointed it out last week on our show, the Tony Pollard matchup against the Minnesota Vikings defense, which has been the best in the league against the run. The Vikings have been absolutely suffocating opposing running backs. I think those were words right out of your mouth last week, Mason. They allow the fewest rushing yards per game this season. Given how stingy Minnesota's defense has been, it's hard to feel confident in Swift's ability to produce anything close to his past numbers, especially in a game with playoff implications for so many fantasy teams.
With the fantasy playoffs on the horizon, Swift's struggles against elite defenses have been increasingly concerning. Even with solid performance last week, facing the Vikings defense presents a huge challenge that may leave fantasy managers with more frustration than satisfaction. Keep that one in your mind. If Swift can't overcome this elite defense, his role as villain of the week will only feel more justified, especially for those counting on him for a crucial win.
Yeah, good call. Now, my villain headed into week 12 is J.K. Dobbins, and a fantasy character whose powers are fading just kind of when you need them the most. While he's been scoring consistently in recent weeks, including his 22 fantasy points explosion against Cleveland, he's heading into a showdown with a formidable Baltimore Ravens defense against the run, and they could leave him feeling more like a villain that is defeated.
Dobbins is like a villain who's having a hard time being the boss. He's up against a tough opponents, doesn't get the ball much, and has to share playing time with other players. Even though he sometimes looks strong, this week he might let you down and not do as well.
Yeah, his averages of 15 fantasy points per game over the last 3 weeks, despite he scored 4 touchdowns, so he's not gaining a whole lot of yardage. He's yet to rush for 100 yards this season, his best being 56 on 11 carries in week 11. Not looking good. The Ravens haven't allowed for a 100-yard rusher this season, and Baltimore has given up only 7 rushing touchdowns all year. Gus Edwards has outproduced Dobbins on a per-carry basis in week 11, so it's just a tough one, Mace.
This week, Dobbins is like a villain whose powers have weakened, making him a risky, unreliable choice for your fantasy lineup. With a tough matchup against the stout defense, limited touches, and a schedule that's more villainous than heroic, He's bound to disappoint.
So if you can, I know it's going to be hard to do it, but if you can, okay, temper your expectations or leave J.K. Dobbins on your bench and avoid the temptation to hope for a sudden last-minute turnaround. In the world of fantasy football, J.K. Dobbins is the villain you don't deal with this week. He's the villain you keep on your bench if you can, and he's destined to fall short of his potential like a super villain whose plans are always foiled. Now, let's get into our fun segment this week. And Mason, what is it?
Top 5 candies. Now, it doesn't always have to be fantasy football related. Today, we are talking about our favorite candies. And if you're from anywhere else in the world and don't have these things, get your butt down here and try them.
Up here, maybe. Okay,
Up
so,
here, yeah.
Well, yeah, we're kind of way up here for most Americans. We're from Canada, so some of our candies are pretty different. But start us off with one of them.
My number 5 is gonna be Fun Dip.
So those are those Lick-a-Made things with the candy sticks, and I'm a chocolate kind of guy. So I'm gonna go with a chocolate bar that is very Canadian, and it's called Coffee Crisp, and you should Google it.
Coffee Crisp.
You should Google it up here. It's pretty good. Epic.
My number 4 is Starbursts.
I
have that here.
I don't know. They're like little gummy, chewy things that are kind of hard. I'm gonna go with my number 4 will be let's go with.
You like Aero bars?
No. Let's.
Do you want me to go?
No, I don't. I'm gonna go with licorice. I love a good strawberry licorice.
Better not be black licorice, because I don't like that. My number 3 are Cadbury cream eggs. So it's like an egg, and they've got filling in the middle. I'm pretty sure you guys have them down there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So mine will be another chocolate bar. We're gonna go with Wonder Bar, which has got like caramel and peanut butter, and it's covered in chocolate. It's deliciousness up here. What about you, Mace? What's your number 2?
Skittles. And I know you guys have this. So yeah, if you don't know what Skittles taste like, go get some Skittles, because they're delicious.
My number 2 would be those little mini Coke bottles. Those are the best gummies around. I love them.
They're not the best gummies around. My number 1 is Nerd Gummy Clusters. They're a gummy in the middle with nerds all around them. They are fantastic, and I love them so much.
And the number 1 candy that's undisputed number 1 that everybody knows about, and that's the Marshawn Lynch sideline snack, and that is the Skittles, folks. The original, the OG original, and that is for us today on the Fantasy Football Funhouse on the Fantasy Football Advice Network, powered by the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Now, we're headed into week 12. It's a crazy week ahead with the Buy-Mageddons. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be awesome. And we just love having everybody come and view our show weekly. So keep tuning in, keep hitting that like and subscribe, and keep following us on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. And from all of us there, what do we say at the end of every show we do, Mason?
We hope you win.
We hope you win, folks. Peace out.